You're watching Your Worst Friend, Going Deeper, Season 5. Today's guest, adult content creator, author, and podcaster, Elaina St. Here's your hosts, Matt and Shane.
You're watching Your Worst Friend, Going Deeper, Season 5. I'm Matt, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Shane.
Hello.
Go to yourworstfriend.com to see all of our other interviews and follow us on social media at WorstFriendCast. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. You might know her from her podcast, Chat and Laugh, or her book, How to Date a Hot Older Woman. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at Elaina St. And most importantly, go subscribe to her OnlyFans, because we're going to learn about how successful she is at that. And you don't get successful by, updating once every 3 weeks, and it's just kind of like a picture of your thigh. So the quality of the content is just, off the charts, and this is how she makes her bones. So I want you to go to her OnlyFans at Elaina_St. Ladies and gentlemen, join us in welcoming to the show the alluring, the mature, the beautiful Elaina St.
Well, hi guys.
Elaina, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with young guys that have an old soul to them. Like, how old are you guys? Do you discuss your age, or are you coy with that with your audience?
I turned 36 next month. I was born in 87. Shane, you are?
I'm just a few months younger than him.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a brother thing where you're like, or like a twin thing. Like, I came out second, so I'm technically younger.
Well, yeah. Technically, yes. The interesting thing is you say brothers, because I do feel like Shane is like a brother to me. But the first thing we bonded over, right, Shane, in the back of Mr. Kelly's class.
Yeah.
Freshman year.
It was the killing of a stepfather.
Class. No, it was. Well, yeah, that's true. The first thing Shane did say to me was, what's the best way to kill my stepfather and get away with it? And I didn't immediately brush him off. I just went, I could come up with some stuff for you. But the main thing we touched on,
coronary heart disease. That was the easy one.
Did not do that. It was, that is what got you started.
That's a long game.
Yeah. I played the long one. Yeah.
Here you go. Would you like some more bacon?
Some more cheese and bacon? Have you heard about fondue?
Yeah, if you dip bacon in it, or what is it, pork bellies? It's so great.
There's so many choices.
No, don't get up and walk. No, just stay on the couch. Yeah,
let me get that for you.
The correct answer was pornography. Formers that we both enjoyed and liked, and Shane and I have never really been like guys who didn't have girlfriends, guys who weren't getting laid, anything like that. But there's just something that seems so fun about porn and so fun about the adult entertainment world. And we've talked to enough girls at this point, and men actually as well, where we know there are pitfalls. At some point it is just a job, and maybe they don't love it and whatever. But what I've seen from you, Elaina, is a really interesting thing that Shane has pointed out in the past on some of our interviews. He didn't like that girls wouldn't do. And I think you're the opposite. I know that sounds really weird and vague and ominous, but we'll get around to it. Could you tell us a brief overview, Elaina? Because I think you could tell your origin story for hours in detail. But if you could just give us a brief overview of how Elaina St. was born into the adult entertainment world.
So I was at a low-paying office job. I was making around $30,000 a year. I took it because it was a 9-to-5 that I could be a good mom, and I could, work and have a schedule. So I was doing that, and I happened upon a couple articles about OnlyFans, and I started going a deep dive, and I saw these women. They were not porn actresses. They were actually just OnlyFans. And they were making over $100,000 a month. And I was like, oh my God,
sure. If
I could make 1/10 of that, and I'll never forget it. It almost gives me chills every time I mention it. If I could make 1/10 of that every month, if I could make 10,000, it would be life-changing for me and my son.
Sure.
Right. And I mean, I had professional jobs where I had made close to that in my past before I was a mom, but I was traveling all the time. I was in consumer product sales. I was traveling all the time. So I looked into it and I thought this is too good to be true, because I was somebody that always kind of thought, like, wow, exotic dancers, that's kind of cool. I never had wanted to be in porn because I was just too conservative and too monogamous in my way. But I had always liked the glamour of that kind of stuff, the cheeky stuff, the Playboy, all of that. Like, I thought that was really cool. And so I thought, gosh, like, they're pretty, but they're not Gisele Bündchen, they're not perfection.
Sure.
And I thought, gosh, maybe I'm a tenth of as good looking as they are. Maybe I can do something with this. So long story short, within a month and a half, I knew I was making 2 times my monthly salary at the job, 40 hours a week. And so I took the plunge. So by month 3, I had made $10,000 on OnlyFans. Wow. So, and then it's gone up since then. As far as I know, there might be somebody lying, but I'm the most successful creator over the age of 55 on OnlyFans. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's so much work. I mean, it is work. It's a hustle. It's a grind. It's an everyday, it's all these different platforms and trying to advertise yourself and build a brand. Elaina St. James the funny thing is my last name on here came from, I at first thought I was going to have a dominatrix kind of bent to I thought that, because I'm a business person, I understand you need a niche. Mm-hmm. And I understand that you need something to stand out. And I thought it was going to be that. So I thought, okay, what sounds like sexy? I even Googled sexy female names. And one of the things I realized is they said 3, like Elaina, mm-hmm. like 3, what is that?
3 syllables. Syllables,
thank you.
Yep.
Are sexier than others, right? So I thought, okay. So I really went deep dive into names, and I was like, what's sexy? What's sophisticated? St. James. One of the loves of my life had the middle name of St. George, and he was very, fancy.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, St. George, it's not as sexy. St. James. And then I think unwittingly, the 50 Shades of Grey,
okay,
I think it was E.L. James. So mm-hmm. There's a thing there. But anyway, so I gave my name, and what I realized though is my fans just liked my kind of cheeky, cute, wink and a smile, natural personality. They didn't want my playful dominatrix. And it's part of me, but it's actually easier to sustain who I am here, because it's really close to who I am than, some kind of enchantress or whatever. So that's how Elaina St. James started. Reels were really essential to what I did, to getting guys interested. And I think they saw it in my eyes that when I was doing a reel, it was more, and at that time I was 54, and it was more like, we're doing this. Isn't this funny? How cute is this? How funny is this? You're watching me and I'm 54 and you think this is fun. And I get to do this for a living. I get to do this at this age. Who does this? Well, me, but you know what I mean? It's like, usually those sexy times, those glory times in your life happen when you're in your 20s. Mm-hmm. And it did for me too. Like
a reawakening.
Right. It's like, that's when you get to explore that part of you. So how cool is it that I get to have this now? I guess it would be like if a professional athlete hit their stride when they were in their 50s instead of, that would be so free. And you could appreciate it so much more because you'd know your power, but yet you get to appreciate it.
You're the Tom Brady of OnlyFans.
But like if Tom Brady started playing when he was like 32 or something.
That's fair.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if he took a break, because like, you said you had a wild stint in your 20s. So it's like maybe he played good in college. He took a break. Then he came back at 38 and then dominated the pros for 10 years.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I was a Miller girl for a while. And, so I would go out and be like,
sure.
And take pictures with guys and art, autograph stuff. And I did a lot of kind of that fun stuff.
I respect you 100% for what you did. I believe Shane, your wife, for a while was doing that type of promotion as well, right?
Promo modeling, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All
and then
due
she
respect,
moved on to the OnlyFans stuff too.
And I understand our audience, or this is a comedy show, Elaina, just so you know. I understand our audience is cool. Guys getting those autographs to me are the same type of guys who comment on Pornhub videos. Maybe they should be like watched a little bit. Like, I understand getting the picture taken next to the pretty girl, obviously, but then to get an autograph afterwards, it's very nice, but it creeps me out to an extent.
It's funny, but this was back in the 90s. I mean, you really have to go back. That's when it was. I think the funniest thing, and it really, the first time I was dressed as Cold Patrol, and we went in, and this was like, is it Foreigner that has that cold? She's as cold as ice.
Yeah.
So we would come in. We had, oh my God, it was the funniest things. It was Miller Genuine Draft was cold as ice, cold filter. That was the big deal. And we had these giant canisters that were basically like fire extinguishers on our backs. So we would have these things, and we would come in and we would spray them. So it would be the cold mist, and then we'd come in. It was very dramatic. I loved it. And I mean, it was fun.
Totally.
Fun,
yeah, totally. I even understand the conventions, going and getting autographs from people. And I am not even making judgment. Again, all due respect to you.
No,
now
it was weird. I was
okay.
Well, I mean,
now you are Elaina St. James. Your autograph is worth grab. No offense. Again, you were a hot
think
girl.
about it. They could have known. Like,
Sally
one day
Jane,
she's going to blow up.
No, she was Sally Jane back then. She just said.
But
I wasn't Sally Jane. I'm not going to give you my real name, but I used my real name.
Okay.
I mean, that might exist. There might be guys that have pictures now. I look different. I had giant hair, but it was me.
90s, yeah.
Primarily me. Somebody's going to be like, oh my God, that was that Miller girl.
There you go.
But, and I would sign. That was weird though. Sometimes they'd have me sign. I'll never forget. There was, this happened a few times. Guys that wanted me to sign their heads or body parts with Sharpies.
That's, yeah.
Like I just drove here from, home. It's not like I came here on a jet.
Sign my dick.
Well, sure. That one I understand. No, I think that's great. I think that's, that's fine. People can collect whatever they want to collect. If I were to see a guy like just going up to, again, no disrespect to you, but at that point you're just a pretty girl with a chorus shirt on, right? And going,
I wasn't famous, but it's a little bit of fame, even micro fame. And even right now, I think I have micro fame, even though I've had a lot of coverage from international media and stuff, but it's still micro fame. What this has done though, guys, is it really has let me understand a lot about people and it's and celebrity.
Sure.
It's
in what way? Like, what have you learned that's new that you didn't really understand before? By the way, there are three main professions that all of the most successful girls we've talked to all used to be in before. Sales, like you, psychology, which I think plays into a big part on being able to talk to somebody, and marketing.
Yeah.
And
marketing.
It is
without it, you're done. You got nothing.
That's a question I always ask people, and please go back to what you were talking about if you want real quick. But do you think, do you think if a girl, who would be more successful in the industry you're in? A girl who's a woman who's a 10 out of 10, but has no idea what Instagram is, or a 5 out of 10 who knows the algorithm like the back of her hand?
Well, first of all, the algorithm is always changing.
Sure.
So you're not going to outwit the people at Meta. You're just not.
Right.
So, it's a crapshoot. And my God, I had viral videos or viral reels, and I didn't know they were me in a satin floral robe. 20 million, 26 million, 19 million views. This is back in November. I wouldn't have had any idea. Now, once I knew that was successful, I've
replicated it
like a dead horse, and you'll see that's become like a signature. But it's about, there's two things with success with OnlyFans. First, you have to have a niche.
Sure. Thankfully,
mine is just part of it is I'm old, but that you know what makes you different? And like, if I was your mom, I would say this, like, what makes you different, Matt, Shane?
What makes me
you special?
I'm really hard to be around.
Different.
Yeah, Shane's incredibly difficult to have conversations with. That's why I decided to start a podcast with him. Me, I guess my penis is just larger than the average porn star, so there's that. But what my niche would be, no, I don't know. Just chatting with people and not getting overwhelmed talking to the most beautiful women in the world, you know.
My niche would be angry mukbangs.
Well, see, but you know yourself. But that's when you're talking OnlyFans or any marketing, what makes you different? There are so many more women out there that are, and I'm not saying this like, oh, please compliment me. It's not that. It's there are so many more beautiful women than I am on there. Beautiful, perfect. I don't know if they have any cellulite. Like, they're perfect. They are gorgeous. A lot of them are much younger than me. And I make many, 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 many times more money than they do. Why? Why? I have a niche. So that's part of it.
The other girl is a hot girl and you have a niche and you are a hot older woman, you know?
Got the brains.
And that's huge. That's huge. Plus, I know my niche. I know my brand. I have a brand and I know it. There's a lot of these very successful OnlyFans creator. If you say, what's your brand? They don't even know what their brand. Sometimes I tell them what their brand is. If I'm friendly with them, I'll be like, listen, this is what your brand is. Oh, right. I guess I never thought of it that way. Now, sometimes people just kind of step into luck or they got in early. I've seen a lot of really successful OnlyFans creators that, again, I'm a business person. I look at their brand and I go, well, they know it unconsciously or consciously, but some of it's luck. Some of it with me is luck. I'm not going to pretend that I'm some genius. There is some knowledge and then there's some luck. But one of the parts about being successful on OnlyFans, there's an authenticity and accessibility that if you look too perfect, you don't have.
You look fake. Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about that before too. There are people who love the high glitz and glamour of the big name companies that do shoots, right? Brazzers, your Reality Kings, stuff like that. We spoke to another model recently, Catherine Knight, beautiful girl, Chilean out of Budapest. And she says she does not want to shoot the cell phone type foot. She wants professional lighting. She wants this and that. And that is her brand. You know, when you're going to sign up for her thing, you're getting maybe not as many updates as the girl that's like taking a picture of her clam every morning, but you're getting, you know, the highest quality thing. And then there are some guys like me, and I think Shane to an extent, where I made this joke last time, but I like watching a porn video where you can hear unlicensed Metallica music in the background. You know why?
You have that on OnlyFans because that's against terms of service.
Well, sure, sure. But I think you get what I mean, where I like seeing something where it's
an
gritty, but also real. And I think I have not dove too deeply into OnlyFans only because we talk to so many women. I would feel terrible canceling a subscription. So I try not to jump into them. But I think that's the idea behind it. It's almost like you're talking to, and that's a dangerous line to walk too. You're talking to a friend every day. And this friend is engaging you with sexuality as well. And it feels so much better than throwing your credit card into, again, a major name site and just never having any interaction with this person. They know. I don't know.
Validating too. Validating your kinks and all that shit. You know?
I don't know what you offer on yours. And if you'd like to tell us, that would be great. Sure. But the idea of, you know, oh my God, I could pay for, and it's just a couple dollars here or there. I could pay for a video of Elaina St. saying my name or whatever, or doing this like a custom video thing, or a lot of girls do dick ratings or this and that. There is a deep personal connection that OnlyFans satisfies between the viewer and the viewee. Now, that also walks a line. I want to ask you first. Let me ask you, what do you offer on your OnlyFans?
Yeah, so mostly because I do my own page. There are some that use assistants. I don't. I can see the benefits of that because sometimes you can deal with people that are not very nice,
Sure.
So what I offer, I don't do customs like I used to when I was a smaller creator. I just get inundated. Plus,
Sure.
I have to worry at this point because I've gotten so much press. Could that come around and bite me in the ass if I'm doing something that I don't like? I don't know. Or the other thing is sometimes you get leaks of things that I have done that are used to catfish others.
Oh.
So pictures, I learned this from somebody else. They said, sometimes pictures and videos that are specific poses, things can be used to catfish, or they will be used on dating sites specific. So I really don't do that much anymore. Now, if somebody sends me a tip and has a question for me, a lot of times I'll answer with a voice note. So that's really personal. Now, if they do like a $25 tip or $50 tip, I might do a short little video of just, hey, and I'll use their name and that's the thing. I do dick ratings, but I always say that they're silly because they are. And now maybe this is because I'm a woman, but I give this caveat. I'm like, I'll do a dick rating and I'll do the video or a number. They're all 8.5s. I've seen a couple. I've seen some less. But generally, first of all, I'm a human, and first of all, no woman would want any body part rated ever.
Sure.
Like, can you imagine?
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, if you want to be safe as a man, you're never going to rate a breast or something. Like,
I mean, I'll do it.
An 8.
I'll do it to my wife later tonight and see how she reacts to that.
Well,
but yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
But men get off on it. So I usually say, listen, it's a keeper, whatever it is. It's silly, but if you get off on it, if that's something that really trips your trigger, I'll take a look at your penis, because that's really what it's about. You want me to look at your penis and talk about it.
Sure.
Okay. But what I'm not going to do is what a lot of creators do is like, oh God, oh my God, that gets me so turned on, because it's disingenuous. Women don't get turned on by seeing a dick pic.
Sure.
Tell them that
I don't know,
funny or smart.
Everyone I send them to really likes them.
Yeah.
Don't send one unless somebody asks for it.
Right.
Like,
obviously.
That ruins the surprise.
But here's the thing: as women, most women will look at other things in the room. Like, if you could, Matt,
the turd in
don't
your
do
toilet,
this, but you could show me your dick right now, and I'll look at the dick and I'll be like, okay, does he look, well kept or whatever? I might comment on it. Then I'm going to look at the couch behind you, and I'm going to look at whatever that thing is that is a camera, like, because I'm a woman and I'm going to look at that kind of stuff. I'm going to look at the stuff that Shane has in the background, and
Sure.
So it's like, okay, yeah, there's your dick.
Clean your room.
But
yeah,
does it make you excited that I'm wealthy enough to afford a green screen, or no? Okay. I was just wondering. Okay, all right.
You know what? That might a little bit. No, I don't know.
Can I tell you how adorably innocent?
I'll send you a pic of money. I'll send you a big wad of money in a picture and see how that gets you wet.
I tell you how adorably innocent Elaina St. James is to the people that are listening here. She pointed out the couch in the background. This is the backroom casting couch, which is one of the bigger sites on the web. You know
light,
what?
Man.
There you go. There you go.
Don't blue light that.
Yeah. What does that mean? What does blue light mean?
For bodily fluids residue. You blue light it.
Oh, you look at like you're a CSI guy.
Yeah.
You're looking for the...
I mean, if you're talking about casting couches.
No.
I mean, I've heard things about porn couches. So yes, I do the dick rate. It's not a big deal of mine. I'd rather guys just spend their money on buying videos. I mean, especially either my solo videos, which is where I started, and then I started doing content with men, with porn stars.
So
because go big or go home, kids. Like,
That's what I would love to get into. So what was coming into doing OnlyFans, what was your comfort level on this? Now you had done some, you'd done the promo work prior to that.
Yeah.
Was it you just jumped right into OnlyFans, I guess it sounds like, right? It wasn't like nude modeling and then, no. Okay.
Nope. No, I'd never done anything like that. Could never consider doing anything like that. And then I thought, okay, Like I'm comfortable enough with my body. And so I did the nudity, and then my fans kind of told me what they wanted. And I thought, okay, I can self-pleasure myself on camera. And that kind of did turn me on. I kind of liked knowing that. Now I didn't need to see the results all the time. And now I have thousands of subscribers. I don't need to see every, like, hey, look, you made me hard. And
you made this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
This is your fault.
I'm doing my job. That's great. I'm glad. I'm glad I don't need proof, because I would be drowning in dick pics if that was the case.
Oh,
so,
if only we could be so lucky. Yeah.
I think it's really like guys just want to show it,
I don't know why.
It's like a toy.
Yeah.
Listen,
it is.
Dating,
it's like a
any
trophy.
dating site, what are you going to see as a woman? And any woman, I don't know how many women watch this, but it's the guys that put their fish and here's my car. Here's my motorcycle. Look at it.
It's
Here's
a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should allow that on Tinder.
It's just like a fish tank that's stuck to your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just did the solo thing, and for 2 years, all I heard, of course, was, why don't you have a bit real dick? Why don't you do real dick? And that's exactly how they sounded in my mind.
100%. Yep. They're all of our listeners. Yep.
Yeah. Big overlap. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was just like, well, let's see, because I'm single. And it really made me mad. Like, can you imagine if you were totally single, you didn't have anyone in your life, and then you had people that were like, Matt, I want to see you with a real woman. And you'd be like, yeah, I do too.
Yeah, they don't like me. Yeah.
As well. And so that was in my mind, but I was like, I am not going to just do that with anybody, because that's just not how I roll. So then I started thinking it from a business standpoint, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, and I did ask many times for like 6 months, an old boyfriend that I was still friends with. And I was like, will you please? And he was like, oh, I don't know. God, that's a lot of pressure. He left you?
Yeah, what happened? Did he
turn gay after he left you?
No. No, but he was like, what if my family finds out? Not, all this we had been apart for 20 years, and he wouldn't do it. Even if I was like, I don't even need your face. I just need your dick.
Preferably no face.
He wasn't going to do it. So I was like, all right, what do I need? What does Elaina St. James need? I need somebody that can get hard, that can stay hard. Can I talk this way on your podcast?
Yeah. The only thing, you can't say fuck stick. That's the only thing.
But that's what I needed.
Don't say pussy on our show.
So I was looking for a big fuck stick. Okay.
It didn't need to be big. It needed to stay hard.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to pop on demand. And I needed to know that they were fully tested, that they were conscious about that, and that they weren't going to get stalkerish on me. Like that's what I needed. And I just didn't need some weirdo from off the street. I needed somebody it was a professional.
Sure.
So a friend of mine had said, when I made mine, she's a big OnlyFans creator. She goes, I hired somebody in England that was a professional. Okay. So I started shopping. I started porn actor shopping. And I got to tell you, it's fun.
I would assume a lot of guys.
Gross. There's a lot of gross stuff that I saw too, but It's empowering. As a woman, as a 55-year-old woman. And I was like, all right.
Well, it's not picking what cereal is going to make you happy tomorrow morning. You're literally looking at a cast of people and going, any of these pretty much I could get to pleasure me in any way I want. So yeah, I get why that's
important. Who's going to pleasure me though? Like
that's what I
want.
That's what I meant. Yeah, no, that's what I meant from your perspective. Yeah,
hunks of meat. Yeah.
It was wonderful, and so I talked to a couple and ended up talking to the two that stood out the most and stood up. I guess.
Yep.
But so my first collab, but it wasn't a collab. I own it. Like I contracted them as if I was a studio.
Sure.
I contracted their services, their acting services, and was first Lucas Frost, who had just turned 32. I was 55, and he was kind of an old soul like you guys, he kind of understood some of the older references.
Sure.
And he was great. And so made two. I mean, it was awkward and it was weird. Like, one of the things I didn't know, because I've never been on a porn studio set. I don't know if I ever will. We can talk about that if you want to, because I think it's an interesting thing of why there's an empowering factor of never doing studio porn. But, I was just like, I don't know what you do, because I'm a woman that's used to having a guy that desires me, that does his moves. And then we gradually get to know each other, and then we're making out, and then it progresses. And this, it was like 0 to 60. All right, let's
stick it in.
Sure. So that awkwardness, I mean, did that manifest as soon as you were around Lucas, or did it go into when you were starting to film? And again, I'm not. Yeah,
it was weird. I mean, it was a weird thing. It was like we met and had a drink, and then went upstairs, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just take off my clothes.
But my question was more, did you know how to? Again, I'm not. No. How to shoot it? How to shoot it in terms of
to shoot it,
like in a professional? Right.
Well, think about it. I had performed with my good co-star, my dildo torso, before, and so I kind of knew. Obviously, it never. I mean, it was funny. I remember when he was, and I flew him to the Midwest to film, but he was like, well, I certainly hope that I'll bring a little bit more life into your videos. And, but so it was strange, but he helped. He definitely helped. Like, I understood camera and angles and that sort of thing, but he definitely was there to help kind of guide and open up. And that's another reason to get to work with a professional. Like, he understood those things and he was comfortable with it. So yeah, he was great. And then the second one, the second time that I flew somebody out, it was with Ryan Driller, who is just a freaking pro, and he's the Superman. Ryan Driller.
I mean, yeah, I know the name. Yeah. I know more female names, but the name Driller really sets something in my mind where I think I know how well of a job he does.
He's Superman. I didn't know they cast him for the new Superman, but
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's played Superman multiple times. He's played Doctor Strange. He's that guy.
Sure.
So we had a great time. We filmed four over the course of a couple days, and it was a blast. And I've done a couple more since then. It's very empowering because I control it.
Sure.
I control it.
So I don't want to move directly yet, because what you said about the mainstream thing is super interesting, and we've had that same discussion with different girls. I want to give you two different perspectives on it, but so you've done girl, boy, solos. How far do you see yourself taking your OnlyFans? You've set your brand. You are a very smiley, mature woman. But do you ever wonder how far you can push it, what the return on investment is going to be if you go more extreme? Do you ever have desires to go more extreme and you just go,
no,
okay, no.
A little bit, maybe the threesome thing. But again, it's like, it's the ROI, the return on investment, return on what listen, if I had my druthers, it would just be me, Chris Hemsworth, married, happy. Sure. And I don't need anyone else.
Mm-hmm. me too, actually, which is ironic, but yeah.
I'd be happy with Chris Evans. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I would too. Any of the Chris's.
Sure. You can leave Pine. I
like Pine because he was Wonder Woman. He was Steve Trevor. So
yeah,
I think
he was also
personable.
Star Trek.
Yeah, he's Kirk. Dummy.
I think he's a good actor.
It's not you. Yeah.
I don't like his big blocky head. That's all.
You know who's still sexy? And I think he's 92. Is
Patrick Stewart.
I don't know about that.
No, the original Captain
Shatner.
Kirk. Oh my God.
Is he sexy though?
Yeah. I mean, because
could you imagine him giving you a facial? Like, No,
I don't actually. I can't imagine anyone because I don't allow that.
Which we will talk about later. Yes, obviously. So,
so maybe a threesome. I've only been with one woman in my life, sure. And that was the one gal that I did the GG with, Jamie. And Jamie's wonderful. She's a top tier OnlyFans creator. She's fantastic. I'm straight. So like, and I don't hide that. So I was always curious, so I did it. Will I do another woman? Probably, maybe, but I'm not, it's not essential. So there's a return of investment of how many of these videos do I need to do? Or when do you have too many? Like sometimes I really think it's like, there might be too many. It's like, think about Pizza Hut. No matter how many pizzas they come up with, probably their number one seller is still pepperoni pizza.
Yep.
The pan
so
crust.
There can be an oversaturation of what you offer, and it doesn't really matter, because my guys that come on today are still going to be like, I want to see your first video of you the first time you had sex, or I want to see this one, or like there's a time that your menu can be too big that you're not selling more, you just have more, and it's just more diluted.
They point that out on Shark Tank a lot. You have too many SKUs.
Right, too many SKUs. That's exactly right.
And you go from friendly, smiley MILF to just another woman who does everything, gangbangs and this and that and whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I get that.
I'm personality driven, Matt. That's sure. And Shane. I'm personality driven. So
well, yeah, but you don't look bad either, Elaina. Jesus, you're not 100. Shane and I are personality driven. You are maybe 50-50. Okay,
but well, I do so.
But that's my thing, is that they're coming for that. That's why I have, you mentioned, or you asked what I do on my page. One of the things that the guys love that I do, and by the way, when you subscribe to an OnlyFans creator, we're just having fun. You don't have to feel bad. We're not married. You can unsubscribe. The guys will write to me and they feel bad. And I'm like, sweetie, you can unsubscribe, but you can also come back. Sure. We're not dating. We're not married. Go
That's
have
one of the
your
benefits.
Fun. Go check out any of my friends or not my friends. Or do nothing and then come back, because I'll still be here probably, and you can still enjoy me, and I'll welcome you back with open arms if you were not, a jerk.
Sure.
And it's fine. It's funny though. Sometimes guys feel like they need to tell me that they're going to like break up with me, I guess. And I'm like, okay, come back.
Well, I think you kind of have like, you said you have a personality and that's what you're selling. I think your personality kind of demands respect. And I think that it would be hard to leave and not say something, it's like it would be like like leaving home, and just like, even though you're it's not necessarily a motherly role, it's like, you have to show gratitude for the services rendered, and she elicits that, and she demands it by her presence.
You know what? My first thought was like, oh my God, what weirdos. And then at the same time, if I felt like I was becoming friends with you, which again, I'm not, but your thing is so inviting and everything else that maybe I feel that way. I also would probably be like, oh, you know what? I gotta at least say goodbye to her, because like if someone's making a sandwich and I cancel it at like a deli or something, I do want to be like, hey, thank you very much. I think I changed my mind on. I don't just walk out,
Meanwhile, they're happy because they get to eat it in the back room.
Yeah, that's true. That's
so let me ask though about respect. You've mentioned people being disrespectful as fans, and so. Like, where do you draw that line? Like, when, like, some people might want to take a dominant role, or some people just might have a way of talking, or that might be a little different. When does it become like a point where it's like, all right, you know what, you can keep paying for the subscription if you want, but you're not cut out to be
communicate with.
Yeah. But, if they call me a name.
Pause before that. Can you ban someone on OnlyFans?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, continue. I just wanted to know that.
And I have.
That's what I was going to ask too. Have you ever banned someone?
You don't call me a name. Like, you don't come into my house and disrespect me. There are creators that are totally fine being called, all kinds of things. I'm not. So I don't refer to myself. And even if I did, don't come on and come in hot the first time you subscribe. Don't ever call me a slut, because I'm not.
Sure.
And I bristle at name calling. Name calling will quickly get you banned. And I understand that there are some creators that aren't like that. They call themselves that. I have some problems with that as a woman, maybe as an older woman. I have problems with that because I think it's inviting kind of, it's just not something I do. And I put it right on there. I'm like, I give and expect respect. Jerks will be banned. Like, sure. I'll right. So I say it right in the beginning, but if they come in or they were like, I want to see you get railed by two guys and coming all over your face. And I'll be like, well, hi, welcome to my page. It's like, what the hell? I'm a person. Like, if you act like I'm some sort of thing, that really doesn't go over well. And then when I was mentioning, one of the things that I offer is I have like weekly segments, and these have become signature chat and flash, Elaina St. James.
Sure.
Where, like I'm talking like I am now, but then I take off my top and I play with my boobs and I'm talking about whatever, like, hey, I watched this documentary. Hey, I went to the movies. Oh my God. Can you believe how cold it is in the Midwest? Whatever it is, like, sure. I'll talk about what's going on. And I'm playing with my boobs, or maybe I'll say, hey, I've got a new scene coming on or whatever. I don't dive into religion or politics, sure. Clearly, because and the performers that do, bless their hearts.
Sure.
But I don't get it. Yeah. How could you alienate half of your potentials? I don't get it. It's so off-putting, but that's me.
Sure. But now to jump sideways to what we were talking about, mainstream stuff is, OnlyFans, and we've interviewed plenty of girls or women. I always say girls. I don't know why.
It's really like
I call them chicks most of the time though, because I'm like this old man.
I don't mind chicks. Like,
okay,
there might be some that do, but
sure,
I
don't. I mean it in a dumb way, not a rude way.
We grew up on Beavis and Butthead too. Yeah, not just I Dream of Jeannie.
So, when it comes to mainstream stuff, so many, it's funny because we also do a series on brand new creators where we kind of do an interview with them to kind of expose them to the world, and put it out
not there. To ourselves. Yeah.
No.
Hey,
but
this is what you're gonna
say. so many of those women are desperately trying to get the mainstream thing going because maybe they haven't had the same success as you. They're trying, they're working hard, they're doing it. Some of them not so much. They need to put more time in and whatever else. But they are desperately trying to get it. And then the big established stars we've talked to always tell us like, yeah, shooting on a set is fun, but it's an advertisement for my OnlyFans, And so let me ask you, what would it take? What kind of return on investment would it take, or what kind of increase in your numbers would it take for you to do a mainstream scene?
Well, first of all, so I was asked I was contacted by Browsers a couple times last year before I even did it. And I remember taking a meeting and I was just like, I don't know, they must have just been like, what the hell? Who is this person? Because I was like, well, I've never shot a boy girl. And they're like, really? I mean, that was the energy like I just said, and I'm a virgin. That was the same energy, like just like incredulous, like because I'd done well, and I was like, no, I've never, even in my personal life, I've never shot like a personal, thing. So they were like, well, yeah, maybe if you do that, maybe we talk after that, because there's a lot that goes in with a set, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I understand, like I don't know, I could decide like this is freaking me out, I have to leave. I don't know. And see, here's the thing, Matt, they could never guarantee me what the return would be. Sure. But I will tell you what I know the con would be. I wouldn't have control of that content.
Right.
I would hate that. Right. I would hate knowing that they can put me up, even if it was having sex with somebody that I adore, like Ryan Driller. Now they own it, and they can put it in forever on a tube site for free. And I can't do anything about it. And then what does that do? It cheapens my brand because now I'm out there. I'm exposed. Now, am I as valuable? No, because I'll tell you what, these mainstream porn actresses, and I know some of them, they don't make as much money as I do on my OnlyFans, even though they are gorgeous and beautiful and perfect. You know why? Because it's a scarcity.
Right.
There's a scarcity that I have that no mainstream porn actress can have, because their stuff is all over. I want to see that. I want to see that woman have sex. I can go on any tube site and see her have sex this way, that way, with that person and that person, 3-way. Like, I can see it for free. So why would I need to subscribe to her?
Right.
It really, it adds to that whole aesthetic, that amateur aesthetic, to where you're forging this connection with the fan, where if you go and do mainstream stuff and you're exposed and your content isn't that personalized version of itself, then that's the thing that cheapens the brand. It's like these people are looking for you. They're not looking for, like you said, it's a scarcity, but it's more like the scarcity is that you have this connection, this personality thing, and that's the thing that's lacking in mainstream. It's like it builds a wall instantly as soon as you become
it's
that
an
girl.
Authenticity. Mm-hmm. I have an authenticity. What my guys love about when I do my stuff, I'm laughing.
Sure.
When I'm having sex, I'm giggling. And sometimes I'll look at the camera and they know that I know. Like, I'll look and they'll be like, oh, look at her. And she's having a good time and she's giggling. I don't see giggling, authentic giggling, in any porn that I see. I'm sure there is.
They cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of it. I don't see that. And they're so perfect. And these chicks aren't choosing these guys, really.
Right.
I'm choosing. If they see me, like, there's a reason that I chose whoever I chose. Did it end up being as good? There are ones that are better than others. But yeah, so it's the control and there's the authenticity. Like, the best compliments I get with my sex videos, they're like, oh my God, you reminded me how much fun sex can be. Mm-hmm. I don't feel fun sometimes with these porn, like the mainstream porn, because they are so frantic or weird or like overproduced, or the angles. And it's just, there's like a joyfulness, because I'm laughing because I'm like, wow, look at this guy. This is fun.
And that goes back to what I started saying at the beginning, that Shane has pointed out plenty of times during interviews where after the fact, or in a clip we watch or something like that, where he goes, and not in a 1950s guy at a gas station telling a woman this way, but he goes, I wish they would smile more. I wish there was more smiling. I wish they looked like they wanted to be there, because there's nothing worse than like a porn video where you're like, was she trafficked? Like, what is the look on their face?
Unless it's
miserable.
like, unless you're role playing or something, like.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, I remember reading a review once where like some guy like described how somebody like I think like it was something about like the amateurness of the performer was like making them think like, oh, should I not be seeing this? And Matt said the same thing before, but it's like this taboo idea, right? Like, oh boy, that's something I'm not.
So there's a voyeuristic thing, right? Mm-hmm. So and that can be, again, they're all different, right? There's a voyeuristic thing, and that can be hot. Like one of the scenes I did with Ryan, whether this was for real, like we forgot to turn off the camera or not, but it gave that essence. And it was very, like, I just said, hey, we're just going to do this. And it wasn't like, oh, open me up for the camera and do this and do that. Sure. It was very natural. Guys love that. But some of the guys want it to be more like performance, where I'm looking at the camera and that sort of thing. But so there's the authenticity, there's the fun. My guys, oftentimes, basically what they describe to me and what they love about what I do, feel good porn. They feel better after watching it, not just because they got off, but because they feel like genuinely I was doing this because I wanted to. It was my own volition. I kind of controlled it because I chose to be with these people. Mm-hmm. And, they felt good about it. feel good porn. And
you shot it, edited
mainstream.
It. Yeah. So could I ask you, do you think your fans are, even if it's only 51%, again, you're not some, leather bound dom, but do you think your fans maybe lean a little more towards the sub side in the sense, I don't know. I'm just,
you know what? That's funny. I don't know. I don't think so, because I have some dominant stuff, like some of my solo stuff is dominant and it doesn't sell well.
Okay. Okay.
So, there's two things. Like I guess I'm just a person who has boundaries, and I'm a woman that has boundaries and they respect it. What I often hear is like, you're not like the hit it and quit it. You're the person I'd want to go out to dinner with and have a glass of wine and have a nice dinner with. Like that's who you are. So there's a respect there of just that, whether I made it, but submissive, no, I don't think they are, but they're respectful. Well, and if they're not, they don't last long.
Sure. Yeah. You have to wonder, though, if those same guys are respectful to all performers, or if it's just because this is your brand. Like they're texting you or messaging you and saying, I would love to take you out to dinner sometime. You're so wonderful. And then they bounce over to the other OnlyFans account and go, hey, pig. Like, like something like that. Who knows? I
don't know. I mean, people are people and they can change.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. All I know is what I expect, and
that's the point. The cool thing is you have built a brand. You're almost, I called you the Tom Brady before. You're kind of like, I've never watched this show, but I've heard reviews of it. You're like the Ted Lasso of porn in a little bit.
Oh my God, I love Ted Lasso.
I've never seen the show.
You haven't watched it?
No, here's why. Because you're a sweetheart and I'm a monster, so I can't look at stuff that's too sweet and be like, I really enjoy this. I really, like, if Ted Lasso at the end, I don't know, suffocated on something and died, I would be like, oh, this is more tragic. Like I need more of a drama, I need more human tragedy. That's just how I feel.
Well, then just cleanse your palate with like some Game of Thrones or something.
That's what I need. I need Game of Thrones.
That's the stuff. Like I watch Game of Thrones and I have to do this.
Yeah. See, that's not. I go like this. I go.
Yeah, I don't like dragons either.
Yeah, Shane doesn't like dragons.
I turn away every time I see a dragon.
All the gruesome. I'm like, oh, I would like this. It just, why does it have to be so?
Sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? I will say this though. I think if you did one mainstream scene, that would still give you a lot of scarcity. And
I've thought about it. Would it have to be with a podcast host?
No. You talk to my wife about that and talk to Shane. Oh, Shane's wife.
You could. How about a podcast host wife?
Yeah.
My mom. Yeah, that's the best I can do.
I've thought about it. I mean, obviously, think about it. I have shot with Lucas Frost, Ryan Driller, Max Fills, and Jay Smooth. And these are guys that are in, and I've talked to way more. I mean, one of the first guys that wrote to me, that DM'd me, and I was like, oh my God. But now I've figured out that Kieran Lee basically has I think he has like a bat signal, and he knows when a new MILF is on the scene, and it's like
it's a radar. Yeah.
He has a radar. Because every MILF I know that I've talked to, she's like, oh yeah, I heard from Kieran. Even after starting on Instagram. But I mean, I don't know. And I'm not sure. It's one of those things I toy with. I would have to trust whoever's filming it, like the director or producer, whatever. The talent is essential.
Let me pause you. What if a company brought you in and said, hey, we'd like you to shoot and direct and cast your first scene, and they would pay you appropriately, obviously, for the different roles. But I mean, what if it was something where you would have total control over it, but it would be one
already.
No, yeah, but
but they're going to pick the set, and they'll give you
scenario.
A list of performers.
Yeah, sure.
We want you to shoot I mean, to shoot with
the big budget. Yeah, I mean that. Like, listen, hey, I have seen some of like the Milfy by Vixen. It's beautiful.
Oh, I love Milfy.
We interviewed Penny Barber, who's like
right. And actually, I just saw that she follows me on X, and I was like so freaking honored by that.
She's pretty cool. She is a pretty cool chick. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they do beautiful stuff. But then I was talking to somebody that has not worked with them, but somebody that's a mainstream. You'd probably know her, but I'm not going to disclose that we know each other. And she's just like, yeah, the problem is you don't have the look for Milfy. You're not perfect enough.
What is it?
And I'm like, oh, okay. That stung a little bit, but I know she was right.
Well, I know what they mean. It's like that it's that authenticity thing, right? It's like when you reach a certain level of pristine in photograph, at that point you are unattainable. You're not real anymore in the literal sense, to where you and I are having a conversation right now. And I think that's the distinction she's making. It's like you're a real person.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like it's fine. It's all a balance. But I mean, would I ever do that? I'd never say never. Would I ever do a gangbang? I can say unequivocally that will never happen.
Oh,
I will never do. There's quite a few things I will never do.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. But
I mean, that's not who I am.
Piss? You like piss at all?
That's no.
Okay.
No.
I like piss. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, drink your water.
Sure. But
I'm not going to listen. If it's the slut Olympics, I'm not training for that.
Okay, I think that's
a brand.
Fair. Yeah. We are going to wrap up here in a minute. Shane, did you have anything else for Elaina today?
No, I think maybe we'll have Elaina back on, I think, for a second interview, because I actually have so many things I want to ask Elaina that I don't want to jump into another rabbit hole completely.
5 seasons, we've only ever done one repeat interview. And most of the time when Shane gets off on these interviews, he's like, whew, that was good. We are good for one. I am impressed that you have impressed Shane so much. And you know what it is? It's the smiling.
Yeah. It's the authenticity.
It's the authenticity.
I like MILFs.
Well, I'm curious how you guys even found me.
Well,
just straight and jack off material.
You know what? Let's just let's take 2 minutes here real quick, because you're doing your podcast. Can I ask when you started that?
Yeah. Well, let's see. The first one I actually, this is recorded, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Why?
And so I recorded mine, I think it was in July, but then I had a big trip overseas. So then I had to get everything ready. I did all kinds of stuff. I made my own music for the intro and outro with a studio. And but September 4th is the first one that I released.
So we started in April of 2020.
What?
And yeah.
What? April 2020?
Yeah.
23 or
2020. No, that's 2000. 2020. 23 years ago.
Oh my God, the dementia just hit.
We started when we were 13.
Yeah. But here's my question to you, as a new podcaster, right? Like if I was starting an OnlyFans, I would go to Elaina here. I'd go, what do I do to be successful? Elaina, do you have any questions for us, seasoned, successful podcasters? By the way you do it, I can explain that afterwards. Do you have any questions for us on what to do during a podcast or in podcasting in general? You don't need any help with the marketing of it, God knows. But do you have anything? You may not. If you don't, that's fine.
Well, you know what? I do. So what happens when you have somebody that isn't, now for me, I just take up the airspace of blah, 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 because I can talk. Just ask my poor kid who was just like, you're so chatty, because I'll talk to anybody.
Sure.
But what happens when you have somebody that, because have you had people that really don't talk?
Yes. Have you ever seen the ending of the movie Hellraiser?
Do I look like I've ever seen the ending of Hellraiser?
Okay, it's similar to that.
Is it similar to Ted Lasso?
It's not. It's the opposite of Ted. It's more like Event Horizon. That's a reference some people are going to get. Are you talking
about the part where the guy gets his head ripped in half?
I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it.
Some interviews are not as good as the others. And what you have to do is, like you said, fill the space. But filling the space also doesn't mean, I think there is power in silence on certain things, especially when it comes to an audio medium or a video medium as we have here. But there's a power to silence where sometimes what you've said and what they've said in response can elicit just a pause, and you shouldn't rush to quickly get something in as fast as you can because people are going to tune out. People like hearing, and what we hear from our people on Patreon and everything else, people like just hearing all same thing as you, authentic people talking. We will talk about nothing on our comedy show, but just how our lives are going and what's going on with you. And we'll crack some jokes here, and then we'll bring up a news article and talk about that and crack some jokes. And what it is our listeners are probably guys who have worked in a warehouse before and have heard a funny conversation going on behind them. Okay. So in presenting what you're doing, obviously target your audience. Would it be fair to say your audience is leaning female? Because I've watched some of your episodes. Really, see, I would think, and maybe that is where you need to pivot and shift a little. Not that you need to change anything if you're successful. I'm just saying if you were looking for something like that, I think you could have a really powerful, empowering women platform. Wow.
Oh, I will.
In there for sure.
At some point, but right now where I'm making my money is on OnlyFans.
Oh, so sure. OnlyFans, yeah.
And right now I have to, so it's very calculated having other women, other big creators for the most part on my podcast, because that brings in the men who want to watch and learn about these people. Women, at some point I'll pivot. I had somebody that wanted me to write my life story because there's a lot more to it, as it is with anybody that's reached this age.
Sure.
They wanted me, and they said, you have such a compelling story, once they kept learning about different things that I'd done and been through. And I said, I'm not done yet, though. I'm not ready to pivot, because a book like that is for women.
Sure.
And I'm not ready to pivot to a woman audience. I have to be done with what I'm doing with OnlyFans.
Makes sense.
To be able to be accessible or to be acceptable to women as a whole, I believe. But so I see what you mean, though, as far as women that want to emulate OnlyFans would be watching my podcast. And that's fine. I think it's guys that are into, say, Danny Jones or sure. Amber Sweetheart, and that want to see us and they want to learn more about us. I think that's who is watching the podcast.
Guys jerking off at work.
What was that?
Shane, go ahead, repeat it.
Just dudes jerking off at work, because you can't have porn on the company computer.
Yeah, I mean, they can listen to it. I mean, I still sell my audiobook, and I'm not talking about sexy stuff on my audiobook. I'm talking the way I talk to you guys. And I still sell it around the world.
I picture, though, something like there's the Call Her Daddy podcast, which I would say a majority of that audience is female, right?
Totally. That one is totally female. I get that. But if you look at Holly Randall's, because then you'd say, okay, well, then who's going to be my guest, Matt? If I'm leaning into women, wouldn't you think it would be male porn stars?
No,
nobody wants to hear that.
I wouldn't think so. I would actually think if I'm a woman, maybe I don't have the self-confidence that someone like you has. So I'm going to you almost like those online influencers like Gary V, who's like, hey, go to a yard sale and just buy a treasure and sell it and then keep flipping it. And then you'll have your Ferrari. You are going, hey, I'm a strong woman who started at what I did later in life. I am so strong, so powerful. Look what I have created. Now I want to talk to somebody else across the room from me, across Zoom from me, whatever you want to say, who also did it, but in a different way. Let's figure out what is relatable between the two of us, and let's let our audience figure out what is relatable between them and us.
Yeah, you make a really good point, Matt. That you do. It's a good point.
But you make a great point too. A pivot. Look, you have once you have exhausted your. You could also do specials. Do the empowering women specials. 5 episodes. Go ahead.
People have talked to me about doing motivational speaking at some point.
True.
I'm totally in on that. I mean, there's so many things. There's so many aspects where, and these are things that don't excite men, to know that I had a kid on my own, to know that I've done this on my own and this on my own, that I haven't needed a man. I've needed thousands of men,
sure.
But I haven't needed a man. There is no, as they call it in the industry, suitcase pimp that's making this happen. I don't have a husband that's doing all this stuff for me, and I'm just like showing up and being pretty. I'm doing all this.
Sure.
So it is interesting. And I guess really, honestly, I haven't really thought about who my audience is for the podcast. I'm presenting stories and presenting people, and it's going to be more of a mix than my Instagram. My Instagram is 2% women.
Which goes back to what you asked us earlier. How did we find you? How did we get our start? So Shane and I have only ever reached out to try and talk to interesting people. And we met a woman on Reddit. Her name was Anastasia, something. This was years ago. Anyway, she wrote a series of 3 books about how she was actively cheating on her husband.
Yeah.
And she did an interview with us while she was in her car because her husband was inside and she didn't want him to know it. She would travel a lot for business trips, hook up with guys on the road and come back because her husband was uninterested in the relationship. They had been together too long, maybe, whatever. Divorce wasn't on the table, but it happens. So we had her on. Again, I just want to talk to interesting people. I don't care what your job is. All due respect to all the porn stars we talk to. If I could talk to all of the #1 NASCAR people in the world, I would spend weeks learning about NASCAR so I could have an interesting conversation.
No, you wouldn't.
I would. I absolutely would.
You can only learn 8 hours worth of NASCAR and then run out of NASCAR.
And then it's just zoom.
Then you start drinking Mountain Dew and putting trucker hats on. So we had her on. She was a big success, which led to, we put that in the cuckold room of Reddit, led to a woman reaching out to us and saying, I am a cuck queen. I am a woman that likes to have her husband have sex with other women, and I like to watch. And I run a website. And that was Suzanne Ferrari and Dan Ferrari of slutinspection.com. From there, we saw our numbers exponentially go up because you have a name on there and it's, boosts you. So then you start the long process of going in your emails and crafting a template that is both polite and friendly, but direct to the point. Hi, I'd like to talk to you, Elaina. My name is Matt. I run a podcast. It is a very sex positive podcast. We would like to have you on to promote your OnlyFans. Here's the other interviews we've done, yada, yada, yada. Eventually, you get on enough people directly that you start making waves on a Twitter or something like that, and PR agents start seeing you. And they start saying, hey, I saw this. I would love to get my person on your show. And the first one that contacted us was Erica from the Rub PR. And then Mike Whitaker from Honey House PR. And then I spoke to your PR agent because I reached out to him. I said, wow, he's got a really great roster. He's got a lot of good girls on there. I would love to speak to them. And there were some I didn't include, and you were one of the ones I did because I found your story fascinating. I love anyone who goes, I fucking hate what I'm doing. I'm going to put all of my resources into something that makes me happy, because I have said this since probably freshman year of college. I've said, and I didn't follow it, and that's very sad, but I said, if you love garbage, there's a CEO of waste management. Right. You can find a way to get there if you are passionate and you love something. I worked at Best Buy in high school. The CEO of Best Buy was a guy who started stocking shelves there, worked his way up. He's the boss now. He got fired for really inappropriate. He got fired for inappropriate sexual stuff. But anyway,
could have left him in the stock room.
But I think what you're doing is great. I think more women should attempt to do what you do, at least follow the instructions on that you've kind of given here without maybe even meaning to is just find your brand, find your niche, work hard at it, keep control over your content, make sure you don't stray too far away from your niche unless you're trying to introduce a new niche, maybe.
Know your brand, know your boundaries.
You can try. And guys, you could decide we're going to do a cooking show, but that's a passion project. And that you have to realize it might not be successful. It's again, when I mention like mainstream entertainment and how I understand these people and kind of how they do things, you talk about like a action hero, which that's how he makes his money. He's an action hero.
Sure.
But once in a while, he wants to do something because he wants to do it. That's the passion project. So sometimes I do things because I want to do them. Maybe they're not going to be commercially that viable, except for my true fan base. But, creatively, I want to do something.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Elaina St. James for coming on with us today. Make sure you check out her podcast, Chat and Laugh. Check out her book, How to Date a Hot Older Woman. We need to have her back on just in case something ever happens to my wife. I'm going to need a hot older woman because
there are advantages to older women,
I'm going to read that book before we have you on.
Yeah. There's disadvantages like what?
We don't take shit.
Oh, I was going to
time.
Vaginal mesh falling out.
Well, I've never had that, but I'm full disclosure.
Sure.
I don't need that.
Since men live less, we'll probably die around the same time.
I mean, there's that. There's a whole conversation. I kind of dig into my 62 pages on that.
How to Date a Hot Older Woman, and make sure you follow her on Go ahead. What you got?
The bioevolution of MILF hunting. Yeah,
that's okay.
That should be the next book. Yeah.
Sometimes he just laughs at stuff, Elena, and we just run with it. We just go, yeah, that was a good
processing, and
that was good science stuff.
I'm just imagining what because she said she went into a section about it. I'm like just imagining what do you list, like the pros and cons of dating an older woman? Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. I go into it, but poor Matt, we're like, his outro is like all being screwed up.
Yeah, it's stepped all over. It's okay.
It's all right. He can start over.
I got social media stuff for you as well that we're going to cut real quick after this. So check out our podcast, Chat and Laugh. I know I have a script here, and Shane just started shouting about bioevolution in the middle of it.
You shouldn't have asked me.
I didn't. You just started talking.
Watch it back.
Chat and Laugh is Elena's podcast. Her book, How to Date a Hot Older Woman. Make sure you follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Elaina St. James. Most importantly, go and subscribe to her OnlyFans at Elaina_St. James. Links to all of that stuff is going to be in the episode description. So if you didn't catch it the first time I said it, make sure you go down there, at least bare minimum, give her a follow and throw some likes up there, because building those numbers is important and flows downhill. Elaina, thank you very much for coming on with us today.
Thanks, guys. This was fun. And hey, it was really neat that you gave me the first $1,000 for being here. That was really awesome.
That was really cool.
Nobody else has gotten that.
That was pretty cool of us. Yeah, I just sent that over on Venmo. That was a good line. Yeah, that was good. It's gonna screw us in the future.
That was just so I could
at least I helped you get screwed.
That was honestly just to make up for that dick pic I sent right before the interview started.
Okay, very good.
But I didn't get it. You sent it to Matt.
I told him forward it to her. Make sure Elaina sees this. Yeah.
8.5. For your worst friend, I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.